Hi, my name is Bala Paranj and welcome to this screencast on how to create contact form for your Rails app. I'll just check out the existing code that we developed for the authentication, and we'll work from that existing project, and we add on this feature also to it. So we'll add a first name and last name to the existing migration file, since we want the email that goes out to have their names in it, to personalize the email. And then we'll add some validation for the first name and last name. Validates presence of and also the length. I want to change this so that there is no conflict. Let's open up the migration. Add first name and last name to the migration. And in the model, we'll have validation for first name and last name. We'll also add a validation length. And last name. Okay, and also we need to add them here also. The reason is these are the fields that the users can set the values from a form. Actually, people can just bypass filling out the form and submit values for other fields if we didn't protect it this way. All the rest of the attributes cannot be set. Like, for instance, the state goes from passive to active. If we were to allow them to set values for those, then they can just bypass the activation mechanism. So this is a way to have a secure way of making sure user don't mess around with the sensitive data in the database. Okay. Now since we added new fields, we'll go ahead and add those two new fields to the form where the user fill out when they sign up. So it's going to be first name and the last name. Both are text field, so we'll create two text fields just after the email. And since this project is in source control, we don't have a database.yaml file yet. Okay, so config, we only have database.example. We will just copy this, and since we have already told the subversion to ignore if any file of that name database.yaml is created, we can just create one for our own use. I'll just say some contactor development, something which doesn't exist already. And let's do regdb create and then we'll create the users table. Okay, rec db migrate, and we are going to create a new file called tableless.rb. We'll see why we need this. But just now you should know that anything underneath the lib directory will be available for us to use, since Rails loads those files in the path and it's available for us. Okay, we have the users table available. Now we can create the contact model. Okay, but it's not going to extend from active record. It's going to extend from the tableless class that extended from active record. Okay, so we're basically using the tableless so that we can reuse the validation available in the active record, but we don't want to store any data corresponding to the contact model in the database. We have column defined such as its subject is string, message is text, and name is string. And we are validating only the subject and message because those are the only two fields the user will actually fill out. And this contact form is only available for users who are already logged in, so the system will know who is actually sending it, and that name will be set in the controller. I believe in the mailer. We'll see that later. Now we can generate the mailer. We'll go back to this. So script generate mailer contact mailer, and we'll edit the contact mailer, and we'll define a method called contact message, which takes the contact object, and it will call the recipients from subject body sent on those things. Okay, so let's open up the contact mailer, and this guy will have the method contact message. Okay, so feedback from the site name. This is the admin's email address. This is the guy who's actually sending the message to you. Okay, and I'm passing in this old contact object to the template, so I can retrieve the name and the message, as well as name, message, and the subject. Okay. Next, we'll create the template for the message. Since this action name is contact message, Rails will look for a template called contact message HTML under contact mailer. Contact message HTML.erb. So here I have user, this is the username, this is the subject, and this is the message they sent. Now we can, before we create the contact form, let's create the controller, because when you create the controller, it will generate the app use contacts under that folder. Then we can create the contact form. So script controller contacts. This contacts controller will be RESTful. I'll just walk you through. See, it create a contacts controller as well as the app use contacts. Okay, contacts controller will have two action: index and create. That's it. Index is just to load that contact form, and the create is when the user submits those values. Those values are initialized in that form. And then I call the contact mailer and I just call the deliver contact message. Contact message is name of the method found in the contact mailer class here, right here. So we append it with deliver underscore so that we can deliver the email. Okay. And then root URL is the homepage. It's defined in the routes.rb. Map.root is defined there, so we have root URL available for us. Sender is nothing but just in the session we already know who is logged in, and we get their first name and last name. So we know who sent the message. Let's open up the routes and define a singular resource called contact. The session controller, if you look at it, it's very similar to the one we have, contacts controller. It's very RESTful, and we only need two actions. And let's see what else is left. Now we have singular resource defined, so we can actually create a link in the navigation that will load the contact form for us. Okay. So application.rhtml. If user is logged in, I want to allow them to contact. So this new contact URL, since we defined the resource as contact in the routes.rb, the new contact URL will route to contacts controller new action. And you can see if you do a rec routes, it will show you what the URL name is. As long as you know which controller and which action you want to route, you can look it up. So here, contacts new action get, you have new contact URL. Okay. So that's done. Now the form app contacts, we need to create the form which will actually show the subject and the message. So new contact URL will go to the action new, and action new, we just have this thing, and then action new actually is going to load the directly, it's going to load the template because we don't have any action there. Okay, So under contacts, we have new.html.erb. It has, okay, this is very similar to the sessions view where we are creating user logs in using username and password. It's not really backed up by any active record. It just gets submitted to the controller. So in this case, we're using text field tag, and if this is subject, you'll have a params hash with the subject as the key. Text area tag, same thing, params hash of message. So we don't really have a params of contact holding all the attributes such as subject and message. We are just sending field value, and so on. And this form tag, as you can see, this contact path, it's going to do a post. Okay, it'll do a post contact. When you do a post, contact URL post contacts, it'll go to create when it gets posted. Okay, so we have the contact path here. Now the view is ready. Let's see if we can run this and get it working. So I'm going to go ahead and create a user object in the database to just since this is a new database, we don't have a user yet. So use let's do it in the console. Okay, ye.email is required. So now we have a user. Okay, we have a user. Let's run the server. And also let's see what the output is in the log. So let's say login. Okay, I just went inside the database and I activated the user manually. So the login is, what is the login? Bunny, bbunny 123456. As soon as the user logs in, we'll have a contact here. Now you can click on the contact, the form will get loaded, and you can pick and you can send. As you can see from the output here, it has sent the email to the admin provided. Feedback from blah blah blah. This is the user, this is the project subject, and this is the message. And it message has been sent and it redirects back to the whatever page you want to redirect them. In this case, I'm just going to root URL. Okay, so you're logged in as bbunnies. Okay, that's it for this screencast. If you enjoyed watching the screencast, please recommend me on Working with Rails. Thank you. Goodbye.